Greetings, everyone. My name is Puran, and I am a clinical counselor and a clinical supervisor practicing in Vancouver, Canada. Welcome to my channel, and please don't forget to like and subscribe if you can, so hopefully I can reach out to more people. In this presentation, I want to talk about adverse childhood experiences, a series of research and knowledge that is already existing. However, I am going to use it for an applied practice of psychology. I'm going to talk about it more. Have you been hearing that you want to forget about the past? Have other people told you, let's forget about what happened in the past, it stays in the past, and that doesn't affect you now? What do you think about your childhood experiences that you had in your life? And this is not about traumatizing you or triggering you. However, this is about challenge you to think about what happened as a result of the experiences you had in childhood and how did they affect the rest of your life. In this talk, we want to understand the effect of experiences on our children. Hopefully, we can help them for a better future. So is it by accident that we feel at times not worthy, not feeling good, not okay as an adult? It is our fault if there has been situations happening to us, traumas happening, and we have been part of instability and confusion and challenges. And how did we get to become who we are today? I mean, even though we have gone through challenges, still we are here. So what happened to us? What's going on? History of recognizing ACE, it goes back to the USA in 1980s. Dr. Felicity, hopefully I'm pronouncing his name correctly, Felicity, and part of a series of research started by the Center of Disease and Control and Prevention in 1985 by questioning, as a medical doctor, he started questioning or asking questions about people complaining about physical illnesses and challenges, and it was realized that the physical conditions people are complaining about, the medical conditions, they are very much related to our mental health and what happened to people in their childhood. And although this study was done mostly in a white, privileged, middle-class community, according to the stats that I have seen, and Dr. Felicity talking about only 1% of Indian American there, part of the research. However, still, we need to think about the bigger effect of such studies on how we can understand the consequences of childhood abuse and childhood adverse experiences in our life. So yes, hopefully we can apply this knowledge in a better word to our communities. Therefore, we need to talk about adverse childhood experiences. I'm going to call it ACE, which is the name. And so ACE has become a buzzword for many medical doctors, many Western communities on how kind of assess and understand medical conditions. So are there universal consequences based on what has been researched? I mean, all those questionnaires and talking to people? Yes, it sounds like we are human beings everywhere we in this planet, and childhood experiences influence our actions and cognition, way of thinking and behaving, right? We know that, and there are tons of research behind this. And indeed, we grow, we try to kind of develop resiliency and change for different reasons. Even though people have gone through most adverse experiences, at times you see that they are most resilient people. What happens? So these are the questions that we are trying to talk about here. And we may need at times professional support and expertise to work on the effects of ACE as an adult. That's for sure, because those are traumas. And we need to know that self-esteem or self-validation and emotion regulation at times are being impacted and influenced, and we are wondering why I'm doing this way. So therefore, it's important to understand and conceptualize ACE based on the realities we are living with. So, as mentioned, ACE in the American society, I mean, there are tons of knowledge about how adverse childhood experiences are linked to biochemical changes that are happening in our bodies. I mean, people with adverse childhood experiences such as abuse, neglect, misuse, sexual abuse, violence, witnessing violence, they have been kind of seeing that they are developing substance use issues, alcohol, food issues, and even getting into violence, relationship problems down the road. And so addiction came to be known as a problem related to childhood experiences. And today we cannot talk about addiction as a concept in a vacuum. People get into addiction because they are trying to cope, however, in a very unhealthy way to deal with the effects of traumas in their life. So therefore, ACE, they are trauma-related questions, and it will help to reveal the what kind of adverse childhood experience a person had. And this study, although as mentioned, started with white middle-class families, still there are experiences that are linked to major chronic illness. That's why I have been fond of talking about this, and it's very important that we learn from this type of research. And ACE and chronic pain, they are of course related, as mentioned before. And however, this is the important thing. When we talk about adverse childhood experiences, as a child, whom do we have? Only parents or caregivers? If parents are not around, then caregivers. What type of experiences do we gain with them? What do they provide for us? It's not about the material providing, or it's not only about food and roof. However, it's about love and connection and security and safety, all those things that a human being need, right? So once we talk about parents' issues, if they have substance abuse issues, if they have domestic violence, there are causes of domestic violence. Therefore, we need to think about, okay, what kind of abuse or witnessing violence, how does it affect our children in that home? At times we think that, okay, these are children, they are going to grow up and they are going to forget about it. No, that's not true. All the research showing that no, nothing is going to be forgotten. We cannot forget our past. Our past is always alive with us, and it's affecting how we are thinking. Everything that we are today, it's because how our brain learned to maneuver through the experiences of good or bad. I mean, it's not only the traumas, right? So people with ACE, they have been seen, there are more risk for physical injuries and separation of mother, and increase the risk of harm and extreme violence. I mean, divorce happens, yes, we know, and mothers may disappear or fathers may disappear. We need to kind of understand how they are exposing the child to further risk. And obviously, there are tons of reasons to believe that or understand that children who experience ACE or adverse childhood experiences. Adverse is negative, adverse is harmful, adverse is unkind, cruel, and inhuman, right? It's better to define it in our way of understanding it. So those experiences as a child influence our social, emotional development and educational future. I mean, we get into educational difficulties. Children get into higher risk of experiencing mental health issues, and they get into very unwell periods and separation and causing a lot of anxiety for them. However, we need to understand what to do about it, right? So once we talk about adverse childhood experiences, we need to again go back, see, okay, what those, at times people say, oh, this is genetic. I mean, mental health issues. I mean, in our communities, there is a lot of blame on genetic. However, the research showing that the genetic and epigenetic factors are related to those experiences. So if you have mental health issues, mental illness and substance use issues, you may know that your children may experience higher rates of emotional behavior and learning challenges. However, again, research indicates that the early identification, intervention, and access to targeted supports can reduce negative impacts. What does it mean? I mean, even though in most harmful communities, if there are some support, some kind of support, some kind of helpful education for the child and understanding of their self-value, these are the things that can change the epigenetic factors. Epigenetics are what? Again, the factors that are influencing our genes negatively because of our experiences, because of how we are seeing and feeling and experiencing life. So there are three types of ACE, and there are three categories, and there are 10 factors or 10 questions. And those categories goes back to finding out whether there has been any kind of abuse, any kind of neglect, any kind of household dysfunction in terms of mental illness, substance use issues, intimate partner violence, and if there has been some incarcerated family members or divorce or separation inside the family. And let's again talk about family, can be nuclear family or caregivers. For whatever reason the child is not living with the nuclear family. And today's world, most nuclear families, the type has been changed. There are tons of blended families, and there are tons of single families, single parent families. So therefore, it's important to recognize that this is very wide and this is very broad knowledge, can be applied to all kind of individuals and families, which is very important. So these are the questions. Usually in my session of psychotherapy, I ask people little by little. Sometimes I just take the form and start with the questions. Sometimes based on the stories they have, I just, sorry, excuse me. I just go with the flow and ask what happened between the age 0 to 18. Any signs and any symptoms, anything that comes after that, it can be discussed through the ACE. Now I want to apply this to my community. The knowledge of adverse childhood experiences in my community, it is kind of different. That's why I'm really suggesting that whatever culture you have or community you're coming from, look into the problems or looking the challenges or realities that your people are going through. I mean, with the Iranian context, with the Iranian situation, with the challenges we have, a home country that has been kidnapped by some people, killing and torturing in the name of God for past 44 years. These are the realities. So ACE, if you have been threatened in a school, if you have been punished for showing your hair, or if you have been attacked by gas or acids because, or you have been shot in your eyes, what do you think about those questions? Is it severe? Yes, it is. However, that's the truth, that's the reality, and that's a kind of adversity we don't hear in the Western world, right? But these are realities people are living with. And if someone asks you, have you been shot in your genitals, public attacked, and left out to die, but how would you feel? I mean, these are adversities. Yes, they are. Therefore, in the Iranian context, I mean, in our Iranian eyes, yes, and here heirs, unfortunately, there is a sense of, yes, that's true, normalized. We hear that all the time. And if you have been beaten, violated, sexually abused by your husband and others, at times, yes, these are also normalized. Have you tried to get help? Yes, but no one has helped. These are also the answers. Have you been violated? Have you been belittled, pushed, imprisoned, and verbally labeled as prostitutes for being a woman? Yes, that's a reality too. That's an adversity too we are living with. And have you lost your family members as they were executed in jails or hanged publicly? Yes, there are tons of people, thousands of people who could attest to this. I mean, there are tons of stories, YouTube channels, social media platforms. People are expressing what happened to them. And just recently, I have watched a couple of sessions of a very interesting program called Tahe Khat by someone named Kambis. He goes home to people and asks them about their Tahe Khat means end of the rope, and talking about the childhood experiences they had and how they got into the end of the rope, however things happen, and they find their resiliency somehow, somewhere. Things happened, and then now they are at the beginning of the rope, meaning they have started a new life. So basically, these ACEs are very important to focus on, and that's why I always, when I hear all those research and thinking about that, wow, there are myriad of adversities. There are multiple unheard of stories that we need to focus on, and we wonder why people get into cancer, why people die of heart attacks. And I mean, in my home country, I mean, we hear that all the time. People die of heart attacks right and left. And in our way of saying it, we say they died of broken heart. And that's true. The broken heart has been actually researched about, and there are some good papers out there. So therefore, we need to understand what's going on in our community. I mean, in the Iranian context, again, children from school to the end of their life. So imagine how many years that can be. People experience mental and emotional abuse in the hands of a systematic violent situation we have by the regime of governing Iran. So people, the lack of choice for personal, professional, and social growth at times, causing a lot of damages, a lot of hardship for people in adult life, and constant suppression and brutal attacks and punishment for individuals living their life. So these are the realities we are living with. That's why when I hear about child abuse, childhood traumas, I mean, my mind goes beyond the fact that, yes, abuse is abuse. It doesn't matter if abuse is for several type of improper behaviors, I mean, physical, emotional, mental, sexual, or continuously going on situations like this. On top of it, you go to school and you're being punished by teachers, and you're going to society, you're being punished for showing your hair and all those things. So how much of adversity we are talking about? That's why I think we need to define and contextualize ACE, adverse childhood experiences, and the research based on that. So defining the adversity in our culture and how adversity is seen and viewed in our culture, and what is the norm for our children and people in our cultural context. How much pain and cruelty is normalized in your community. Unfortunately, pain and traumas are very much normalized in our community. We don't get surprised anymore by the situations we hear. So unfortunately, I'm really sorry to say this. Anyways, with the Iranian context again, children at times are very invisible, and because parents say that, and children are usually girls are a commodity of their parents. They are being owned many times. If and in best case scenario, if not really physically, mentally, emotionally, girls cannot kind of say what they want mostly. I don't want to say 100%, but so that therefore we need to make the invisible visible, and safety not even equal to wealth. Doesn't matter how much wealthy family is. Safety for children and experience of childhood abuse and sexual violence are at times very much normalized in a society, which cannot be the fact anymore. We need to make those situations visible and helping those in need. So therefore, risk is present when stress and vulnerability outweighs protective factors and available resources. So therefore, what's the learning from the research showing that children with toxic stress live much of their life in fight and flight and freeze and fright mode. They respond to the world as a place of a constant danger. With their brains overloaded with the stress hormones and unable to function appropriately, they can't focus on learning. So people who are new immigrants and they have, or children have had adverse childhood experiences, doesn't matter if it's immigrant or not. Anyone. Once children are not able to focus in school, as a counselor, as a mental health clinician, as a doctor, as a psychiatrist, we need to ask what's going on at home. How is the parent situation? How are you being treated? How do you feel? So those questions are absolutely important. I have met so many individuals over the years saying that they tried as a child over and over to tell an adult about the sexual abuse they were enduring and about the neglect they were facing in their homes, but no one listened, no one wanted to know, and no one asked how they were feeling and what was going on for them. So again, the learnings are all this research showing that children fall behind in school and fail to develop a healthy peer relationship. Therefore, at times they get into substance use and issues like that, and therefore we need to understand, adding that the lack of research and resources exist. However, applying the existing knowledge from ACE into our communities. Thankfully, I know that there are tons of, although we don't have proper data, proper research about how many children, for example, in Iran, in the nationwide, they're experiencing adverse childhood experiences, and not even provincially, not even, say, a neighborhood. We don't have those data because human sciences and psychology have been banned and censored forever. And whatever existing people are trying to learn from the Western cultures research and knowledge. So that's why I'm sharing a lot, hoping that students, counseling students and mental health professionals in my home country, for example, can listen to this and listen to other type of educational programs to kind of know better and use this information. So there are tons of movies and activities that these are good things. I mean, I'm very happy to say that. And so what do we need to do? We need to conceptualize this knowledge from Western research into our cultures. We need to understand what are the factors if we do not kind of pay attention to this, how are those adverse childhood experiences are going to be perpetuated. If the child has been, if children are being abused emotionally, physically, mentally, and they are being belittled, they are being physically punished, they are being abandoned by parents because of divorce and separation and domestic violence, and if they are not having support out there, what are the results? I mean, what's the result? We know what's the result, right? It's not good. Because those coping skills, people, and even those children, they learn somehow to cope with the traumas, the trauma of adversities. They try to learn different approaches, right? And whatever approach they learn becomes a pattern for them in their adult life. So no wonder we have, unfortunately, many criminals, many criminal activities. Why is that? When they are not able to manage their anger and emotions of what happened to them as a child. Unfortunately, this is the case. I mean, every single biography of those people who have mass murdered or killed others, showing that they were never appreciated as a child or felt love or felt importance. So that's why we need to kind of take this information and see what we can do in our communities. And the only answer is to prevent and basically offer treatment by enabling, empowering, listening, and caring. We need to care, because otherwise our next generation, how are they going to live their life? I don't know. Hopefully this presentation was important to you. Hopefully you can think about how that information of ACA, that all the knowledge that exists and the research showing the consequences of adverse childhood experiences, you can take it to your community, share it with your parents. I mean, if parents learn how their behavior changing or influencing the brain of their children, I doubt it if they don't want to do something. I mean, all parents, they keep saying that we love our children and we want to do something for their betterment and improvement and development. So this is the knowledge they need more than anything else today. In our communities, we need education. Education, support, love, togetherness. Hopefully this stays with you and you can enable, empower, listen, and care. And this was my presentation, and I'm hoping that if you have any questions, you can reach out to me, and I would be happy to answer any questions, and hopefully taking care of the next programs and so on based on those questions. The next projects that I have in mind, hopefully your questions and your comments would help me to answer those better. Thank you. Take care.